Okay, let's do it in Ramayan, then we will. Okay, I had to change my lesson because of, later. So I just choose a lesson here. It deals with the situation where Sri Ram was sent into banishment. And his father Raja Dashrath, he was deeply distraught because he could not be separated from his son. If at all, he had his, all his likeness was for Prabhu Sri Ram. He had loved all his other sons, but Sri Ram had a special place in his heart. And more than that, this relationship is not simply a father-son relationship, but a God-devotee relationship. And just as the father can't live without his son, so too the devotee can't live without the divine. So in that rationale like that, it became very difficult for him. And Sri Ram himself did not know. He was unaware of what had taken place, what had resulted in him going to the forest. So he is now learning, he understands now what the situation is. He sees that his father is grieving because of him. And he wants in every way to satisfy those requests that the father gave. He wanted in every way to make sure that his father stands tall and does not go against the promises that he made. He wanted to ensure that he fulfills that promise so that his father would keep his head high. So I want to begin in this chaupai. Sri Ram is addressing his father. अति लघु बात लागी दुख पावा काहू न मोहि कहि प्रथम जनावा. So Lord Sri Ram, he understands the depth of grief that his father is undergoing. And he says to him, he says, Dad, you are grieving for a very trifling matter. You see how he puts it? The entire of Ayodhya is in deep sympathy with his family. They are deeply distressed, all of them, because they had this profound love for their king Raja Dashrath. And more than that, all of them were looking forward to the coronation of Prabhu Sri Ram. And now that he's been sent into the forest, the entire of Ayodhya is thrusted into this situation of deep grief. And his father is more moved and more grieved than everybody else. And he says that you are grieving for a simple trifling matter. He just wants to dispense with this thing and cause his father to be relieved. So he says, and Kahuna mohi kahi prathama janawa. He says, the pity of it is that nobody appraised me, nobody informed me about this before. Perhaps if he had known about this before, then perhaps he would address it in a different way. But now that everything has happened, he is now aware of what promises were made and what not and what not. That is after he spoke to Mata Kekayi. Then he realized that Raja Dashrath had made two promises. And now that she had asked for the promises, he can't renege, because his word stands predominant, as is the lifestyle of the Raghu race. They don't go back on their word. Their life may go. You say, Raghu kulariti sadachalyai. My life may go, but my words must stand most predominant. So he could not retract on his word. And because of that, he had to give in, even though he didn't want to banish him. He had to, and Sri Ram understands that. Which son today would do that? Think of today's life. Do you think if your father promised you, well, I'm giving you this house, and you're all prepared and ready, and 2 hours after he comes and tells you, I have to just send you out. You go and find a place for yourself or somewhere, and you can't get your house. You know what's going to happen, right? But Sri Ram is such a noble, honorable son. He says that this is a trifling matter. Why are you worried though? Is there need to worry? He says, Dekhi gosai puchi mata suni prasanga bhaye sital gata. He says, when I saw you, I questioned my mother, and I was well content when I heard the whole story. He didn't say he was distraught when he heard the story. He said, I was content, because he wants to make his father feel comfortable. He said, I didn't see anything in this. There's no problem, so you shouldn't be grieving. There's no problem. And that is because of a noble son. He could have made things far worse, but he didn't do that. He tried to prop his dad in every possible way and to bring some kind of sanity in his life. So Indu Hatusidas rasamaya sanehabas sochu parihariyu tad. He says, my father, do not grieve out of affection for me. I know you love me. And do not grieve for that. It's normal, to have that kind of love. I do appreciate your love and everything. But at the time of rejoicing, he's saying, this is a time of rejoicing because you're going to install Bharat. He had given permission now for Bharat to be enthroned. He says, so it's a time of joy and happiness. Why are you sad? Get off from that, And so, with a very good heart, he asked him, my dad, please go and enjoy yourself. Be there to install Bharat and don't worry about me. So, Arya Sudeya Harashiya Kahi Pulake Prabhugat. So in this way, Sri Ram spoke. It said a thrill of joy, a heartfelt thrill of joy and a body quivering with emotions. That, he is so ecstatic about the whole thing because he's putting out this front so as to dissipate whatever problems the father was facing. He was deeply moved, but he could not show that he was in every distress. In fact, he was not distressed. He was not distressed at all. So Tulsidas tells us in Chopai. Saying, blessed is his life upon earth, he said. Blessed am I on this earth, whose father is pleased to hear of his doings. Which father will not be happy to hear of his son's, doings? Good doings, that is, good deeds. Every father will be proud of such a son. He's saying, Chari padarat karatalatake priya pitumatu prana sama jake. He says, the four rewards of life. What are the four rewards of life? Dharma, earth, calm, and moksha. Dharma is religious principles. Earth is wealth. Calm is the pleasure of the senses. And then you have finally moksha, which is liberation. All of us aspire for liberation. Liberation means freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from the attachments of this world. We are so engrossed in the world that when a situation like this happens, it throws off our feet completely. Understand? Everybody. It's very few people who can transcend the situation. Because great people of high spiritual enlightenment, they succumb in times like these. We all are affected by this situation. So for the person who transcends that, This comes like a normal part because they understand that once there is life, there is death. Once there is birth, death is a necessary end. As I said in the beginning, the moment we take birth, every second thereafter is a step closer to the grave. We have been here for perhaps like a half an hour now, right? We are half an hour closer to the grave. When we would have spent the time over here, whatever spent time, that is time that is gone completely. Nobody can retract or retrace that. It is simply gone, and that is off. If we were to live for so many hours, those 2 hours, we have outlived that already. You understand? So it's a normal process of life. So he says, the 4 rewards of life, which is religious merit, material riches, sensuous gratification, and final beatitude. He says, these are within the grasp of those who love their parents as their own life. Those who love their parents as their own life. You are what you are because of your parents. Because of the sacrifices that they have made. You are what you are. They could have said, well, you know, let me have a good time. I could go on holidays, enjoy myself, and forget the family. They didn't do that. They sacrificed every possible thing that they could be happy about to see that their children, their needs are fulfilled. And that is the hallmark of a great parent. So, what is our duty? What is our duty in response to that? We must see to it that they are well taken care of, especially in times of need. There will be a time when they will not be as strong and powerful as they were. But we would have had that strength. It is our time to service them. And when you do not do that, it's a travesty. It is a sin of great magnitude. Your parent may forgive you, but God would never forgive a child. He said, honor thy father and thy mother, so that the days which the Lord thy God hath given thee upon this land will be long and everlasting. And if you can't love your parents, tell the world you can't love God. I see my parents and I can't love them. You think I can love who are here and I see? That is a great impossibility. So, Sri Ram is displaying that kind of love for his father. He doesn't care what the outcome is in terms of his sacrifice. Whatever sacrifice I made is purely for the love of my dad. And he wants to make him comfortable. He knows his dad is uneasy. So, in Chaupai, Tulsidas says, I'll just do 2 more Chaupai and then go to Satsangh. Ranapalo Pai, E Hawa Begi Hibu Rajai. He says, after obeying your orders, my dear father, and accomplishing the purpose of my life. You see, this is what he said, after obeying your orders and accomplishing the purpose of my life. What is the purpose of his life? To be able to honor that principle and to adopt and honor that principle of serving the Father. He says, after accomplishing that purpose in my life, he says, Ehi begi hao rajai. He says, I shall come back soon. So please grant me your permission. He's telling the Father, Dad, just give me a permission, your blessing to leave. I will honor your word to the fullest. Just give me your permission, your blessings to leave. Do not be worried. I'll be okay. He says, Bida matusan awa magi chali hao banahi bahuri pagam lagi. He says, in the meantime, I shall take leave, and go to my mother and return forthwith. He has to go and inform his mother that he is about to take leave also. So he says, allow me some time to go and speak to my mother, and then I shall set out to the forest after falling at your feet once more. So he just didn't leave like that. He went to his mom and tells his mother, Mom, I will be leaving to go to the forest. I need your blessings. And then, Dad, I will come back to you and I will bow in reverence to your feet before I need to get your blessings. So think of that situation. Has he not set a precedent for all mankind to follow? And tell me something. If you are following that tradition that the Lord God Almighty has left, he came on earth so as to set these basic principles so that when we follow them, life for us will be a very fruitful and a beautiful one. Think of a son like that. Think of a father like that. Do you think there could be any kind of problem in their life? I want to close this final chopai to Siddha sings. That is the father, how he was feeling. Listen to how the people of Ayodhya felt. I must skip it. I just to give you, a broad view of it. sakal naranari, beli vitap jimi deki duari. It said every man and woman who heard this news became very, very distressed. Every one of them, because they had a special love for Raja Dashrath and for Sri Ram. So everybody was distressed. How? He says, Beli bitap jimi dekhi diwari. The creepers and the trees, you know the creepers, the vine encircling the trees and so on. He says they shrivel at the very sight of the forest fire. When a forest fire takes place, what happens? All these vines, they shrivel up. He says that is how they felt. You know, they were reduced to nothing because of their sheer love for the king. And when you have a ruler who takes care of his subjects, everybody would love him. If you have a ruler on the other hand who just gives problem and troubles, he does not care about people, tax and tax and tax, you know, make life uncomfortable for you, does not provide you with the amenities of life. Nobody would like such a person. Raja Dashrath, on the other hand, he catered for all the needs of his subjects. They were very comfortable. So when this happened, they become totally distraught. Tulsidas is saying that Jo jaha sunai ghanai soi bara bishadu nahi dheeraj hoi. He says, whoever heard this, they began to beat their heads and so. That's how distraught they were. They began to beat their heads. It's all those who heard it, whoever heard it, wherever he happened to be. He didn't care where he was. Openly, he began to cry and beat his head and so on. And the grief was too great to be endured. So much they had loved. And you know something? When this situation arises, and near and dear one, it's the same thing happens. We are all human beings. We are all human beings. And we have these emotions. We are endowed with those emotions of happiness, of sorrow, of resentment. We all inhabit that. In some people, it is more than in others. But it is present in all of us. And we respond differently in situations. But the greatest relief we can get is when we listen to the glories and teachings of our scriptures. Because they deal with this. They tell us how to tackle the situation, what we must do, how to level the playing field when we are faced with a situation like this. Right, that fella doesn't like white talking. So this is, in a nutshell, a small message that I have. I had proposed another lesson, but because of the situation request, I just changed to give you something. So what we'll do now is sing some bhajan and so on and change the tempo a little bit.